Boom, boom, boom. How have y'all's days been?
It's been good, man. It's been good. Getting back to the swing of things, living the dream.
Classic.
Classic.
Can you see it?
Yep.
Alrighty, yeah. So I got this far, which is like not very far, but
Okay. I can only
um,
see. Do you mind just making one of those your full screen? Like full screen in your, because I see your entire window. I see your Zoom, your terminal, and your, yeah, there we go.
yeah, you got it.
Yep. And then can you just either do control or command depending on what you have, and then the plus sign? So I can't see anything on your screen. There you go. It's getting there. Okay. Now I can read a little bit more.
Good.
Perfect.
Is that too big? Is that good?
Oh, great.
Oh, that's too big. There we go. Yeah, so I'm trying to print out like the locations by themselves. These are the desired outputs are down here, obviously. But yeah, I just kind of ran into a little bit of a wall here. I just did not know what to do from here.
Okay. What is not, what are we looking at?
This is so I'm just trying to get the locate like just the values of the locations and just the values of the instructors to print out.
Okay. Now I don't know if it's just my computer, but I'm seeing a lot of black. So anytime you like move your screen, it's not really loading it. Is that just my computer?
No,
I know
it's
it.
there's some black squares. It's like you're having a hard trouble loading.
Yeah.
Now I see most of it.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, so it looks like we've got this dictionary called Dojo,
Yep.
and it went black again. Okay, dictionary called Dojo that's got a key of locations and it's got a key of instructors. And then those
Correct.
locations, we've got some cities and we got some instructors, which most of them are no longer with us. Just okay. Okay, so what we're saying is we're saying 4x in Dojo.
Which I
Okay.
didn't define. I'm aware that I didn't use that variable.
Yeah. Yeah. So 4x in Dojo iterates through my keys here. What I believe we're trying to do here. That's a way to iterate through the different instances within my objects is what I think you're trying to do. And then you're saying for key in Dojo, print Dojo key. What is being printed right now?
I'm
I'm
right
sorry?
now.
Yeah,
It,
so if you run print, what is actually happening?
Usually I like to work backwards and see what's
What's happening, and then we can kind of work from there.
it prints the instructors and then the locations and the instructors and locate. I don't know why it prints it twice. I think it's just printing the entire dictionary and it's not actually going into keys.
Yeah, so what it's doing is it's printing everything.
Whenever you're saying the key, remember when we say key, that returns the value at that key. And so for your key location, you are iterating through. So let's go back to your code. Sorry, I'm just seeing a black square. I can't see. Okay. So here, this is what's happening.
Okay.
These are doing the exact same thing.
Sure.
And so what's happening here is it's saying for X in Dojo. So you have this Dojo and it's saying for X represents, we're going to iterate through everything within my Dojo, right? And the first one is locations. So we can kind of think right now we're currently at location. Then it goes in here and then it says for key in Dojo, which again is both of them.
Sure.
So then it is printing everything here and then printing everything here.
Correct.
Right? Then it goes back and then we're still at location. So then it goes back, and now X is instructors, right? And then
Yeah.
instructors, it says for key in dojo. It went black. Oh, for key in dojo. Well, in dojo is my entire thing. So then it prints everything again.
So I should just delete one of the 4x in dojo or 4 key in dojo, probably 4x, and then use
I
the
would
variable.
probably say the 4x, and then you could say for key in dojo. And that should just get all the values at your different keys.
There we go.
There it is.
So could you kind of explain to me what this, so this dojo of key is just saying to iterate through all the keys?
So what you're saying is, I'm sorry. You're
Find locations and find instructors and print what's at those keys.
Yeah, sorry, but you keep the screen keeps going black. I think it's probably
Yeah, it's a monitor. I think that might be why.
yeah, that could be it. Maybe it just has a harder time. But you're just saying that at the key, that is the current key. Right. So this is saying for key in dojo that's iterating through my keys, and then you're saying print the values of that current whatever key is.
Right.
So if this was unicorn, right, then it would say dojo unicorn. And so that's just a way that you are printing all the values for that specific dictionary at that specific key that you're iterating through.
Right. Perfect. And then I'll just do, so I could do, so how would I get it to print the length of the specific keys? Like just do len dojo key too?
Print len, you would just do len of key, right? Because in your for loop, you have access to that actual key. So you would just say len of that key. And that will be, what's the length of location? What's the length of instructors? And that should generate that number for you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense for sure.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's about all I had. No, I appreciate it. I'm gonna try to go and get it to print to 7 locations, 8 instructors, and I'll be good to go.
Yeah, perfect. Way to go.
But yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. That's what I'm here for. Anybody else have any questions? I know that John, I think, is going to try to
Join. He got a cool solution to his one of his sorting, and I wanted him to share it with everybody. So,
you guys hear me okay?
I hear you. Great. It's awesome. Cool, Mike.
okay. Thank you. Tell me which
Yes.
one sounds better. This one, test, or this one, test.
I think it's crisper on the first.
First
Just a
one.
little bit more clarity, a little bit more clarity.
Yeah, let's go.
It's the
Normally,
way.
normally the mic's hidden, but it's because I'm wearing red today.
It's pretty cool. Does it have a light in it, or is it just red?
Yeah, it's a really sweet mic. It's called a HyperX Quadcast. It's got a red light, and that tells me that it's on. So if I tap
You
the
have a
top,
hot mic, right?
oh, exactly. If I tap the top, it tells me that if it's not lit up, then it's muted. So I
Love
really
it.
wanted to have one that you can set the colors. It's only like 10 or 20 bucks more, but with all the chip shortages, I can't get it for months.
Are you gonna get into podcasting? Gonna do any storytelling?
No, not the
No.
podcasting. I wish.
I think I want to create just fun little YouTube videos for
Yes.
like nuancy things that necessarily for students to use, how to create an alias in your terminal or in
Nice.
like in for your terminal. that
Okay.
just is something that's super easy. So plus it also helps
Oh,
because of
for sure.
talking. So
Mm. Sounding better is important. I see John's here. Are there any questions real quick? Or else, John, do you want to show how you figured out
your sorting.
Oh yeah, sorry. We were actually going through the bank account stuff in Discord. Let me open that up. The insertion sort one.
Perfect.
Yeah, I would just be curious to see how you did it. Share it with everybody. This is being recorded, so that way people can see it if they're not here.
All right, I'll mind my P's and Q's.
That's it.
Well, if you don't mind me asking, where do you get that mic?
I got it on.
Just Amazon. You know, I live in Seattle, so I got to support local. No,
Where?
it's, I got it on Amazon. You can get it at Best Buy. It's called HyperX Quadcast. It's really awesome. It has a built-in pop filter, so if I say like a P, it has a built-in pop filter, and it comes with like a built-in shock mount. So it's actually a really quality mic for cheaper than you can get. You know, it's about the same price as a Snowball or just sorry, like a Yeti.
Oh, not bad.
The Yeti ones, but for the Yeti ones, you have to have a pop filter and you have to have like if you're gonna mount it, like I have it on like an entire arm. That way I
Uh-huh.
can move it all around. And if you're gonna do that, all kinds of stuff. But this was I think it was 170 altogether. But then the mount literally gave me a $15 gift card, and I think it was $22. It's kind of weird. I thought I was getting scammed, but here we are.
I literally just came from Best Buy. I have like an issue with like tech stuff. My wife hates it.
Oh yeah, same. I just have to do gift cards if I get gift cards. Anyway, John, what do you got for us, my friend?
So I did it two way. I did it with a bunch of prints to like step through it, but that's
Okay.
commented out. So I just kind of went by the animation, and I just figured, okay, what it's doing is it's picking a location, pulling it out, setting it in a temporary variable, comparing it to the ones before it. And then if it's less than the one before it, it moves that up one index, compares it, moves up, compares, moves up. Wherever that countdown ends is where it inserts that temp number.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So yeah, and I mean it runs, this is running, you know, as expected.
Sure.
I can try and, you know, it puts it in order.
That's great.
They're pretty quick.
And I
too.
just start at index 1
Yeah,
because I didn't see a reason to start at 0.
sure. Yeah. Because it's instantly just going to be compared to the previous.
Yeah, it would just compare it to itself. The only thing, like,
Yeah.
if that I'm not sure if it's completely correct, is if I go back to this and then run it. Oh, hold on. Is what, like, when it gets to one that it doesn't need to move, which I think is on the 8, the way that I have it built is it inserts the 8 back in as opposed to just doing nothing.
Sure.
And I don't know if there's a way to eliminate that unnecessary step.
Let's look at your code again. Which they're doing the same thing, right?
Yeah, they're doing the same thing. This one just has the prints in it.
Okay.
So like when it gets to this step down here where it says temp is at index 4, which is equal to 8, it compares the 8 to the 6, and then it goes through this final step here this list index equals temp outside of that while loop because that condition's never true, and then it just inserts it back in. I don't know if there's a way to skip doing that step without a bunch of unnecessary logic checks. Like if I just did an if temp is greater than index -1, like continue.
You could do, yeah, I mean, you could do like an if else sort of thing. So if it is greater, then yeah, some sort of continue, and then else run your while loop, and then it runs the while loop. Right? So you could put a condition at the beginning if you wanted that says, okay, if this condition's true, well, then just continue. Like you said, don't even run anything else, go up to my for loop and iterate again. So if it's not greater, then right. Well, yeah, you wouldn't even need to put an else, right? You would just need to continue because it'll automatically go up. It'll skip everything.
Like that.
Yeah, you would need your continue. Oh, yeah. So you're saying if it's greater than,
Or yeah, I need to
you need your
I need to get out of there. But yeah, if temp is greater than that, and then I would do continue.
Yeah, and your while needs to be you don't even need the else, right? You don't even need that line, because if you go to continue, it's automatically just going to skip the rest of your for loop. But then your while loop does need to be indented back, be on the same line as your if that makes sense. And what else? Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, because if it goes to that, if it hits continue, it's just going to skip everything within that for loop still. So then it should go under that.
Okay. So that just, I mean, that's one unnecessary step. I don't know how crucial it is, but I figure why
What
not
is
clean it up?
Can you run it again? Yeah, will you run that again? Want to see something?
Like if I take this back and I make another version of it without that, and then you compare the runtime.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying, because it's about 1 second. I think your other one was like 0.08 if you didn't have that conditional. I think it actually, even though it is doing an extra step, because you don't have that.
Yeah, so it's actually
Much faster.
without that extra step, it's faster.
Way faster, right? Or is that 0.093 or 0.003?
It's 0.093. It's only like seven
Yeah, but it's still,
100.
if you run it one more time on average, right, it would actually be a faster algorithm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then it looks like, even though sure you could build in an edge case like that, but it actually is faster.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess that does make sense then. I mean, because logic is going to take more time than just
Sure.
value swapping.
It has to do that if, and then it has to check both every single time. Right? So it's just like another if for iteration.
Yeah.
Yeah. So fascinating. So in this case, being more thorough would actually be, well, not in this case, actually slow down the algorithm, the runtime.
Cool.
Yeah. Awesome. Great job. This is awesome. Where'd it go?
I definitely went past the 20-minute rule, but
No.
I was a little stubborn with this one.
No, you're good. You're good. These are those things that are fun, and you know, this is, if you like algorithms, that's a fun thing to do, and project and algorithms is going to be great for you then. But then you also, yeah, it'll be a good thing, which is tight. Knowing and having that logic is great, just even when it comes to development in itself. Are there any other questions? Anybody have anything else that they're stuck on?
We were going through the users with bank accounts before we came in here, and I just had a quick question about passing parameters.
Yeah.
So let me share this again. So when it came down to like doing the transfer in this one, I was able to pass in an additional user in the function parameter and then put, it picked up user here.
Yeah.
But when I was doing it, like looking at multiple accounts, I was trying to see like, okay, can I pass in the, I just created something that said account name and I gave each one of these like dot savings, dot checking. This this does not work. Like account name is not picked up as account name here.
So you're
So
trying to run self account name deposit amount.
yeah, which is essentially, I want it to run like, say I do the function and I pass in, dot make deposit savings 100. I want it to read savings and put it right here, but it doesn't work.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Because this self dot account name is looking for either the attribute of account name, and then on that, you want to run the deposit.
Yeah, because this was the only way that and unfortunately the solution doesn't tell you how to do this on the platform. Like even after I submitted it, it just gives you the basic part, not the little bonus check. So I realized that I couldn't do like I had tried doing just self dot account and then creating another instance and creating a name parameter for it. Then I realized self dot account is, that's its own object. So each account had to be its own object within the class. So I did this way. And then I tried like creating a name parameter and being able to call that just down here, passing it in the deposit where it would be like self, and then name and then dot balance. But then I would have to have the dot balance be on the name, not on the self. I'm trying to figure out how do you associate these correctly when you start doing sub things like this, as opposed to just doing an arbitrary string check and hard coding these in for two. Because if you have 5 accounts,
yeah, that's where whenever you like our Django will really come in handy. But I see what you're saying, because Django will be very simple on how we run our instances. But let's kind of look and dive into this stuff. Give me a second. I'm pulling up the assignment so I can look at what we're doing. But on key, we're doing user bank accounts. Okay.
yeah, because this works. I just don't like the way it works.
Sure. So,
especially the transfer function.
Yeah. All right, so let's look at it. Okay. So you are transferring money where you are taking in self, you're taking in the account name, the amount, the user, and the to account name.
Yeah, and this wasn't necessarily called out, but I was just trying to replicate what I had, the functionality I had here,
Sure.
but assuming each user had multiple accounts.
Yeah. So if we're looking at this, you're saying you got a ton of if checks. Like building a video game. Okay. And saying if account name equals savings or blah, 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 and so if any of those are, you're just saying, if any of them match that, if it's something else, don't do this, is what you're basically saying.
Yeah, and then just an invalid account name. It just
Yeah.
else's out to that.
Okay. So like you can also think about it too, right? If you have like a bank, like I fully understand that, but if you have a bank, you're going to set up to where they can only have a certain type of account, so there would be no way that they could have a different account. No, I think what you're saying here, like I understand the logic behind it. So you're saying if account name equals savings, self.savings.balance equals amount. Okay. Self.savings.
Yeah. So basically it was I want to transfer money from this account in this amount to this user and deposit it into their X account, whether it be checking or savings.
Sure, and that's where this transfer money is coming
Yeah, that's specifically for this.
in. So how can we get, you would have to also associate, so account name, you would have to, and this is kind of the bigger thing with OOP, is you would have to associate, well, where does account name come from? And I'm just thinking, I'm not trying to solve the problem. I'm just thinking from a 30,000.
Yeah.
That way.
Yep. And that's what I was thinking. Like down here, I wanted to, when these were created, create a self.name equals, and then have a name on the bank account. And then when it gets initialized up here, the default, this one would be name equals savings, name equals checking.
Sure.
But then
what account? So if it's savings or checking, is this within a user, or are you sending money to your? Or are you
this is transfer money user to user.
User to user. So just if I'm looking at this and I'm thinking through this, because I like the way you're thinking, because this is what we will get to whenever we get to Django. This is exactly what we're going to be kind of doing, right? A user can like another user's post. An author can write a book can have multiple authors, that sort of thing. But if I'm thinking through here, account name, whether it's savings or checking, doesn't do a ton for me. Think about Wells Fargo. If it just said savings, think of how many customers there are at Wells Fargo. So somehow, even though it's account name, I would need to have the user associated with that account. The amount. You would have two users, right?
Yeah.
So what I would maybe think through is I would have something like a user 1, and a user 2, and then maybe this account name. Into my user 1, I can then within that, maybe my user 1 dot account name, which maybe is either savings or checking, which we've already built out as an attribute, right? Minus amount, minus equals amount, right?
Yeah.
Minus equals amount. Then I would say user 2 dot other account name, to account, plus equals amount. But what this is doing is this is indicating my user object 1, whoever I pass in, John, let's say is John and Ryan. Let's say John is going to pay Ryan $50. Well, what I can do is I have to have the name of who I'm taking the money from. So that's user 1, in case this case is John, to be John.savings. minus equal or equals, yeah, minus equals amount, meaning I want to take $50 from that account. Then I have to indicate my second user. So let's say it's Ryan. Then I would say Ryan dot checking plus equals amount. So now I'm taking that $50
Yep.
and I'm adding that to Ryan. So you can actually do it in really these two lines of code.
Yeah, and that's essentially, I just did a bunch of checks in here where it was,
Mhm.
okay, is it coming from the savings? Validate that there's a balance in there that's
Sure.
greater than that amount. Then it does the withdrawal. And then it checks what account it was going to, does the second user dot, and then there's a deposit function on each account. The part I'm wondering on is, how do I do that account? How do I make that account name actually be something? You know, where it would be like user dot savings, which is essentially what I did because of the way the function's called. Right here on the transfer money, it assumes that it's coming from this user.
Okay.
But how do I take this? How do I pass in this attribute and actually make it? Because it's called savings and it's called, you know, it's self.savings and self.checking.
Oh, I see you're saying, because you're saying, so there, that's where you might have like transfer from checking, transfer from savings. Because what you would do, because I see what you're saying. So you would probably need a distinguisher between checking and savings, if I'm kind of thinking through it. Because then what you would do is you would just say John dot savings, right? Like in the way that when I transfer money to my different accounts, it knows my different accounts.
Yeah.
So I would say John dot savings. So I'm just thinking from like a real world perspective. If I'm transferring from savings, there is probably a list of functions for my savings. That way you could say John dot savings instead of just transfer money. I don't know that there is a simple way.
As opposed to building it all in one, where I would do like
Yeah.
John.savings.transfer money, and then that would chain into, you know, who are you transferring to?
Yeah.
And then that would be a deposit. So you would, instead of just a universal for the bank account class, you would have to have like a savings dot withdrawal, a checking dot withdrawal, individually. It just,
Well, you could have a withdrawal. Oh, I see what you're saying. Because then you're,
and the reason being is because I don't understand how to take this parameter and pass it into a call this way.
sure.
Unless I could just pass, you know, create another option in the dot deposit where I would send account name, and then somehow down in here, you know, where self dot name equals name or equals account name, and then pass account name into here where it changes self to account name. That's where I'm getting.
Yeah, no, I totally see what you're saying. I think you would. So if you wanted to have it in one, then I think you would have basically a check. This is just me kind of off the cuff thinking. You would have a check of, okay, if what's being passed through is savings, then I have all this information for my savings, right? John.savings blank, right? And then we have, it's just a couple lines, right? Where savings minus equals the amount, user, or, you know, whoever the user dot checking increased. Then you would have another one. You have another one for checking, but then how do you call their checking? What is it doing whenever you're passing in savings?
Like to try and put it in the dot notation here.
Yeah.
It just says there's no object.
No object. What is it looking like?
Uh, let me, you know what? I'll tell you what. Let
Can
me
you
just,
can you just print account name and see what it says?
where at? Like here? Let me just, I'm going to comment this out. I'm going to comment on my deposit
Mhm.
function, and I'm just going to leave that, and then just do this. Oh, I didn't save it. Yeah, user object has no attribute account name. Now, and then I tried, because I'm like, oh, when I pass in an attribute, it doesn't have to be a string. This didn't function. It said, well, that doesn't exist.
Hmm.
Name
but could you
savings
print
is
out
not
what
defined.
could you print out what you're giving? Like, could you print out account name?
Where do you just do a, well, there isn't anything.
Like in that method. That's
Oh, in that
taking
method,
in
okay.
account name that's calling the issue before you even try
Yes,
to,
for deposit. So
yeah,
just,
before you do that, because I think you might, yeah, can you do that? And let's see what's being passed through. Savings. So that is being passed through.
yeah, I mean, it's getting there, but it's not like, how do I make this a variable? Like, I tried looking it up, and it didn't sound like there was any way to do it in Python. You could do like a get attribute, but
Yeah. Because I see what you're trying to make that your savings.
right.
Also, as a check, Nathan, does this sound better? Okay. Sorry, I just had it turned down. Let's see how to pass. Because in Django, this is easy. Kind of not vanilla Python, but just regular Python. I see exactly what you're saying. I wonder if there's a way we can. How to type pass as. Because I'm wondering if there is a way.
I have a question on this.
Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
Might be a dumb idea, but what if we put the account name as a variable in the bank account object? As put it along lines with below interest rate and balance. You have another line for account name.
Yeah, that's what I was asking about earlier, is if I just made an attribute of, name, self.name.
There's something called a
But I didn't
decorator
know.
that I'm wondering if the decorator would
Okay.
do that.
I'm reading the Python documentation. Anybody else have some ideas? What are we searching? What are we Googling?
Is there a way to nest the classes, or is that later on? I can't remember.
What do you mean?
Exactly. I'm Googling it. I'm just letting you know. That's what I'm Googling.
Hmm. I mean, I think the easy way to do it would be to have a method. So sometimes in programming, when you don't know how to do something efficiently, we do it the long way and then we refactor. I guess what I'm thinking is, okay, well, what's the long way to do it? I think we could probably have a method called transfer from savings, and we could have a method called transfer from checking. And then we have or like a method checking to checking, checking to savings, savings to savings. That we would call. So we'd have 3 different methods. Checkings, I guess 4 technically. So that would work. But how do we do it all in one is where we're trying to get, where we're stuck at.
Yeah, and how do I do it from that single call? And because like what I found, like when I was looking at Stack Overflow, it says you can't use variables in dot notation short of using eval, which you don't want to do. Now, didn't fully understand what that meant, but it was basically saying the dot notation being a constant. But what confused me was I was able to do it when I pass in user down here and transfer and use it as the first item in dot notation. Like this all functions correctly when I pass
So
in
that's an
user.
instance of an object.
So that works.
Yeah. So that's like the actual object, and that object has a dot savings. And so what the issue is,
Right.
is right now we're treating it as if account name is its own thing that then upon account name has a dot deposit method that takes in an amount. But it's saying it doesn't have an account name.
Right, which is why I just did the string check and hard coded self dot savings.
Yeah. How do you well, I'm gonna try something. Oh, yes. Sorry.
Trying to look up this.
I mean, aside from like, if I still do like the if checks as opposed to just being an arbitrary string, you know, if like Tim was saying, I create an attribute on each bank account that was name, and then I do if self dot no, because then how do you access it to say
Sure.
if name is equal to this account name? How would I access each instance with, you know, in a generic way?
Hmm.
To validate against the name attribute of that account.
Mm-hmm.
So does it not work as written right now?
No, this does not work. I had to, this works like with the withdrawal where I actually just arbitrarily match the string and then put in, if the string is savings, use the self dot savings, or if it's checking, use self dot checking.
Give me 1 second.
So one thing I was looking at with, and I could totally be off. We have gone through all the things you've already tried, but I'm not sure if you've done what is called what is it called? An interclass. Have you tried doing an interclass in bank account? And so it's it would be the class bank account, and then you would initialize it with self dot name, but then you would add like a self dot savings equals a self dot savings function, and then you would tab in and add another class called savings, and then you could initialize that and have all your functions
Gotcha.
for savings.
Have different classes of bank account and then build it out. I see what
Yeah.
you're saying.
And that might be a way to kind of travel through and be able to be able to set easier communication with the parameters situation, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
There's I'm just gonna put a link in the chat, just kind of check it out, but I'm not sure if it's the solution, but it's what I'm probably gonna try it on my end with the
Yeah,
assignment.
it sounds like that would be more the way it would be built, as opposed to just having a single class of bank
Exactly.
account and then
Yes.
having to.
And once we get into Django and we build up the back end, you can have interclass. This is something you can, and well, I don't think we end up using it for the exam, but I remember kind of like looking into it at one point. So this could be something that helps us.
Yeah, and I'll probably come back and rebuild this with. I was just trying to keep it like within the basic core of this assignment, but I see what you're saying though. So then like in here, if I pass in I would almost pass in, like, if I want to create a savings account in it,
Yes.
I pass in the type and I say, account type, and then somehow if the account type is savings, then I create a bunch of self.savings or something like that. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. And from what I'm familiar with, you can just pass through self. You don't have to do interest rate because that is already being established below. You could just do init self.
Okay.
Um,
Where are
but
you
then
saying just do the init self?
init self, and then because below you're creating self dot and then the variable. And so it's going to be looking for one of those, anything that's pointing to that class.
Well, you can take the stuff out of sister's basket. That's easy.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. So you can, I think it's obviously working the way you've written it, but I was just saying you could just do self because if you use any of the like kind of like how we do like, I'm just trying to think of how to say it. Yeah, I don't know. My words aren't working right now.
Okay, I can mess with it. I think maybe I just was going a bit deeper than I should have at this point.
Okay.
It just makes me feel better that there isn't something, basically, is there something that I've learned up until this point that would have done this differently? And I think the answer is no.
Yeah, a lot of
Absolutely
these,
not.
a lot of the ninja bonuses are, you're gonna, get a code review and talk to it. Like what you're doing right now is exactly what I would recommend if you get it to a ninja bonus or a sensei bonus and you're like, I don't know what's going on here, because it takes extra research. And then once you they're pushing you to look at the documentation, kind of like what we're doing here. So, which is great. It will help you become a better developer. So.
That's good because they're making me go back to the office in the middle of July and I really don't want to.
Will you try one thing for me? Will you try in front of account name? Will you put 2 stars in your intake? So
There.
in your actual method, so it says self, comma, account name in front of account name on line 8. We put 2 stars just in front of the. Yep, I'll try it. I'm just testing something.
Yeah, let me take out some of this. Get this out of here. I got an error on amount now. Parameter cannot follow that parameter.
Okay.
So what if I put amount here? Like that.
Let's try it. Let's see what's happening.
Let me redefine this.
It could not work. I'm just trying to see if this would.
Oh, it's not. Hold on, it's not letting me do it this way. I'll just change the
It's
order.
because it was highlighted. You just had that part highlighted, and then you tried using. Code
Oh,
Runner,
gotcha.
and it only runs what is highlighted.
Yeah, user object has no attribute account name.
I'll look into it, and then on Wednesday we will. I will see what I can do.
Cool. Sorry
Try to figure
for
it out.
like taking over the entire time.
No, this is good. This is good stuff. This is great stuff. We also have Wednesday too. I'm really into it. Okay, cool. I'm gonna take a quick water break, and then yes, this is recording, so I will take a quick water break, and I will be right back.